we have now built a business to where we are known in our market. And
Yeah.
so because of that, and because of the marketing that we've done and the engine that we've built specifically for our business,
Yeah.
it is first, you are creating this post, and you're right. Probably 1, maybe 2% are going to actually take action on.
Today on Wisdom Journey, I'm joined by Lindsey Huettner, entrepreneur, marketing strategist, and founder of the It Crowd Marketing. Lindsey has built businesses across multiple industries and now helps companies create marketing systems that actually work. As someone building podcast content brands and online business in public, I wanted to understand something many creators struggle with. Why does marketing feel busy but still produce little growth? In this episode, we explore the invisible structure behind effective marketing, how founders waste time, and what small businesses should build before spending more money or creating more content. Welcome to the podcast, Lindsey.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. You've moved through real estate, retail, e-commerce, service businesses, and now agency leadership. Looking back, what business lesson kept following you no matter the industry?
Oh, that's a great question. I think that the biggest thing that I've learned, no matter what industry we're in, is that there are no shortcuts to doing it. So if you're in commercial real estate, if you're in retail, if you're in agency world, whatever, if you're in B2B, B2C, no matter what it is, everybody or a lot of people want a quick fix. They want okay, I'm going to start this and it's going to automatically be unbelievable. And that's one of the biggest things that I've learned is that there is no quick fix. There is no let me do shortcuts. There is no fast track to success. It's the day in, the day out, showing up, making sure that you're doing the right things, and making sure that you're being truthful to what your purpose in life or in that business is and portraying that. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned over all of the multiple businesses in the past.
Yeah. Oh. Have you always been in marketing?
I have not. So I actually started it because I was looking for an agency to help me with my marketing. And I went out to market and I was looking for somebody to help me. And I found a few different things that were out there that didn't work for me. And so I built an agency that was a little bit different than what's out there now. And it's worked. We started November of 2014 and through showing up every single day and doing the grind every single day, it's done well.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. Congratulations. The business
Thank you.
is about 12 years old. That's a full-grown baby. With the way the kids grow nowadays, usually at 12 years old, they might end up being taller than the parent itself. So that's really lovely. I want to step back a bit. When was the time when you realized that, okay, because most people when they hear marketing, they're like, oh, promote, do stuff. And when you're like, okay, yeah, marketing is not promotion, it's business infrastructure. When was that for you?
I knew that from the very beginning. Just through doing marketing for my own businesses prior to the agency, I knew that from the very beginning that exactly with marketing, one thing that I find a lot is that companies just want to throw money at it and then it should work. And there's so many facets to marketing that there isn't a one quick way to make it happen. So if you're a B2C company, there's not a quick way to go, okay, I'm going to run ads online and be a millionaire. It takes a whole village of things to do. It takes a whole village of ideas and structures and go-to-market strategies in order to be able to have enough momentum to then start having new customers come in or new leads come in. And so I knew that from my other businesses, trying to do marketing for myself. I knew it wasn't going to be, Lindsey, you have to have a billboard, or Lindsey, you have to do social media, or Lindsey, you have to have a website. It wasn't going to be just that one thing and then marketing was done. It's very active. It's very ongoing, changes all the time. While there are constants for sure, there are new ideas and new ways to implement those ideas all the time. So I've known that for a really long time.
A lot of creators and founders, including me, sometimes think, I need more content. I need another platform. I need ads. When businesses come to you saying marketing isn't working, what's usually broken underneath?
Yeah. So what have you done in the past? What has worked? What hasn't worked? Why? A lot of things that I see are you didn't give it enough time. You didn't put enough resources towards it. I have some companies that they come in and they say, it just didn't work for us. And I say, well, how long did you try it? And they're like, I tried it for 60 days. It's like, okay, well, it's probably not going to work just for 60 days. The other thing is, are you doing the right channels? So a B2C company, so a business to consumer company, is going to be very different than a business to business company. And wisdom, one of the things that I talked about in the very beginning was that there's no shortcuts. So especially when it comes to business companies, it's really important, depending on how large that company is, that the business owner is out and about. They're doing speaking engagements. They're actually having conversations with people that possibly could be their customers. They are having one-on-one conversations. They are out in the marketplace, and a lot of business owners don't want to hear that. But until you get to a certain level or a certain amount of money, it's
Yeah.
really hard to hire a salesperson or hire specifically a marketing person. And so there are some times where I talk to companies, especially if you're under 5 or 10 million in revenue, that this is an owner game. This is an owner-led sales, an owner-led marketing game. Marketing can help with it, but it's not going to be your end-all be-all.
Yeah. Oh, 60 days.
Mm.
Wow. You said either they did not put enough resources or they didn't give it enough time. And with businesses, very small businesses, resources is not is not that much. And so we don't want to end up spending money in a marketing channel that's not going to work for us.
Right.
We might as well just drop to a taste and say, hey, it doesn't, there's really no sign. So how do we know there is a sign it will work before it starts working? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Unfortunately, you can't when it comes to marketing. But
Uh,
if you are, and there are companies too that I talk to, and they're small enough to where I go, you don't need marketing. Marketing is not the solution. Marketing is a supplement to what you're already doing. And if you aren't doing the basics, if your owner isn't out talking to people, if your owner isn't out doing speaking events, if your owner isn't out in networking events, then you're not doing the basics in order for marketing to be able to thrive. And so what I usually tell companies, if they are small, is get out there, do what you're supposed to do, because you know what you're supposed to do. A lot of business owners, they'll say, okay, well, I just am not very good at that. Or, you know what? It's just not my thing. Well, welcome. You're in business for yourself now, and it is something that you have to do. And so once you have a established sales process or networking process, then marketing can come in and they can help with making sure that you're nurturing those leads, making sure that you're staying in touch with those leads, making sure
yeah.
that those leads specifically, we're going after people that are similar to that. But if you're not doing the basics, marketing is not going to be the thing that helps. It's actually going to be the thing that hurts.
The basics. And then some of the things you mentioned is the owner speaking, interacting with people. But there are the other things, like the core things that should be part of the basics.
Yeah. So if you're on social media, you need to have a website. So of course, that's kind of your landing page for
Yeah.
everything. So you need to have a website. You need to make sure that you're having social media. So Facebook is just kind of a necessary evil at this point. You need to make sure that your Google My Business listing is
Yeah.
up to date and it's running. You need to make sure that the owner is possibly posting on social media. It's not a game of, hey, I have social media and I never post on it anymore. So keeping those up to date, and there are really simple ways to do that. There are simple ways to build a website. There are simple ways to get social media channels and post on them every once in a while. Like I said, speaking at events, going out and networking events. So when I have some people, they come to me and they say, well, I go to networking events and they don't work. And I go, okay, well, what have you done? And they're like, well, I go. Like, okay, well, did you talk to anybody? Well, no. Okay, well, that's not going to work. So going and talking to people, setting up meetings with those people, one-on-one meetings, because that's where you form those connections. That's where you have the conversations of, hey, this is what I do. This is what you do. How can we help each other? It's also not about going out and wanting to get something from somebody else. It's going out and wanting to give to other people because they can understand and they can feel that energy. And because of that, they'll want to give back to you. And so especially if you're small enough, find a few different networking groups. Never have breakfast, lunch, or dinner by yourself. Make sure that you always are having those with somebody else, that you're having conversations with those people. And
Yeah.
then as you start growing your base, growing your business, then at that point, invest in marketing. So those are, if I had anything to tell somebody that is in a business to business type of company, so they're selling to businesses, is get out there, do the old-fashioned hard way of selling until you've built an engine of referrals, and then marketing can come in and help.
You talk about avoiding random acts of marketing. Can you
Oh,
paint a picture of what that looks like in real life?
so a random act of marketing would be a company coming to you and saying, you need to do online ads. And you go, okay, I'm going to do online ads. I'm going to do one ad and I'm going to put it out there for 60 days and I'm going to decide if that works or not.
Yeah.
Or you have a company that comes and says, hey, you need to do print marketing, like old fashioned, sending something in the mail, right? And you do one campaign and it's to 500 homes or to 500 businesses and you get nothing back. And you say, that doesn't work. Or you have another company and they say, you have to have a billboard. Wisdom, that's the way to go. Because do you know how many businesses or companies or, sorry, not companies or business, but how many people are driving past this billboard? That's for sure going to be the thing that gets you sales. And somebody does it and they spend lots and lots of money on it and it doesn't work. So those are the things that I'm talking about of this is a one-off shot in the dark of this definitely is going to work, as opposed to having a complete infrastructure of all of the different ways to make marketing work. So instead of spending $5,000 on a billboard, take that $5,000 and put it towards multiple ways and use that all in congruency with each other in order to make a machine as opposed to one billboard.
Usually, when for some companies, once it seems that there are no more leads, that's when they're like, okay, yeah, I think we need to do more marketing. You talked about I really want you to put, throw more light on the infrastructure that needs to
Mm,
exist before someone increases content outputs and start putting things out there. Because if at the end of the day we're doing all these things and there's really nothing to like handle the thing, it's like we're just working for working's sake. We're just doing things for doing sake. So what does a company need to have, in order for everything to connect as an ecosystem so that the content is actually um,
yeah.
doing something?
Well, so let's walk through it together.
Okay.
So, Wisdom, you have your podcast.
Yes.
And if you spend an hour creating a post about your podcast and you send it out there, what are you going to expect to get back?
Okay. The post about the podcast or the podcast episode?
For the
Which,
podcast episode, you send out one.
okay, if I posted an episode of a podcast, I'm
Sure.
not sure if you're
Yeah.
talking about social media or the actual podcast episode.
Social media.
Oh, social media. Okay. Okay. The
Mhm.
social media, well, I would expect people to say, oh, lovely episode. Where can I listen to that episode? I need a link, like stuff like that, to
Mhm.
get people to listen to the actual episode.
Yeah. And how many people do you think are going to do that?
Depends. Let's say, I don't know, 1 or 2% of the total views or reach of the post itself. So that would be great. I mean, if let's say 100 views in the post, one or two persons will say, yeah, I love this. I love to see the episode with Lindsey. Send me a link.
And do you think that that means that they're going to watch again your next episode?
I think if they will watch again, I mean, it depends
So the
on
next
how the episode
guest that
is.
you have, right?
Yeah.
But right now it's not part of their regular rhythm of life. So it's not something that they are constantly going, oh, Wisdom's got something that's coming out next week. I'm excited about it. Let me wait and listen for that.
Yeah.
Right? So first, you are creating this post, and you're right. Probably 1, maybe 2% are going to actually take action on. But nowadays, you have to touch somebody between 35 and 40 times before they actually
My heart.
before they actually do an action.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now the first question is, how are you going to touch those people 35 to 40 times? Not with one post, you're not.
Of course
Okay,
not.
so let's think about that, right? So what are the actions that we have to do if social media is going to be your vertical? What do we have to do to get in front of these people 35 to 40 times? Well, there's a few different things. We can be posting all the time. That's probably going to take us, because of the algorithms of what social media is, that's going to take us a few years to get in front of them that many times. We could do ads, right? But now you're spending money on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are different ways that we can get it in front of these people. But now that we've gotten in front of these people and they listen to your podcast and they like one, how do we keep them listening to your podcast? That's a whole other strategy at that point, right?
Yeah.
And then after that happens, how do we get them to spread the word? That's another strategy on top of it.
Oh.
And they're all different ways to get a hold of somebody, to engage with them, and to have them then talk about it to their friends. And they're all different strategies. So that ecosystem is thinking about those three and what are the strategies between each one of those? How do you make them work with each other? And how do you do it without spending all of your time working in those three? Because that's not what you do, Wisdom. Like you do podcasts, right?
Yeah.
You're somewhat a marketer, but your main business is to do podcasts. So that is the art and that is the beauty of marketing. That is what I talk about when it comes to the ecosystem. So any small business, it's how do I get my customers? How do I get them to actually buy or purchase or listen? And how do I retain them?
How do I get them to actually listen? How do I get them to actually buy?
Mm-hmm.
How do I retain them?
Mm-hmm. How do you get them? And then you could even say, how do you have them spread the word?
35 to 40, that's a lot. I don't even think with the algorithms and all that, I didn't think that's going to like really work. 35 to 40. I mean, is there a way to like, I don't want to use the word, because with the algorithm and all that, which is great, but is there a way to like just bypass the algorithm? So I'm not talking about shortcuts, but I don't want to be at the mercy of the algorithm. I know this video say you have to create good content. Yeah. But how do I leave algorithm controlled platforms and go to a place where, people trust me to, so if I'm there, okay, I'll give an example. On this podcast, for the people that subscribe audio only, right? Those on YouTube, there's the algorithm part and all that. But for those that listen audio only, there's no algorithm. So it shows on their feed, they listen, right? And so you coming on a podcast, you don't have to like, in sense, you gain access to people that already listen to my podcast without having to go through algorithm to say, okay, yeah, but I am kind of the algorithm because now I endorsed you. I'm like, but yeah, Lindsey, she should be on my podcast. So in my head, I'm trying to think, what can we do to be on platforms where it's actually trust and okay, we know we need 40 touch points. Okay, I'll give an example. Let's say I have a podcast or I have a product that's meant for podcasters. Okay, people who they do podcast and podcasting. Okay, so I need 40 touch points. I'm going to do social media, I'm going to do Instagram, all those things, but what other ways can I actually get so that I'm actually reaching that 35 to 40 touch points and not just maybe 5, even though I feel like I'm posting a lot of posts, but the algorithm doesn't really show it to that much people.
Right. So that's where you start using ads. So that's where you start buying to have the algorithm open up to where you are showing your information to your followers at all times. So if they're a follower, you're hoping that they like what you do, but we need them to be touched multiple times. And we also need to have them comment, because once they comment, then their friends will see that and then be able to join your group, right? So let's call
Yeah.
it a hive almost, right? You want as much activity around that hive. So even if it's 100 people that you have following you, right? Start with a very, very small budget and go and say, okay, every single time that I post, I want all 100 people to see it. And then I want all 100 people to see it and their friends to see it as well. So you're building that hive. Now, one of the things that you can do is direct them to your website to watch podcasts as opposed to directing them to, say, YouTube or directing them somewhere else. Because once they get on your website, you've captured them. Because of their IP address, because of who they are, like you've captured them. You then can start sending out emails to them, and then you're touching them quite a bit more often at that way. You can also then do retargeting ads from your website. So retargeting ads will then hit them on all of their other social media platforms as well. So that's how you kind of build that hive.
Things that can be done, because the thing with most businesses is that they get leads for referrals and that's it. And the day the leads come, awesome. The day it doesn't come, they're like, oh wow, today's been slow. And then they're like, well, maybe we should run some ads or maybe we should do this. You know, my question is, how do we, because we don't want marketing to be random, as you said, right? How do we make it such that it's part of the whole system and we don't have to say, okay, now we're trying to do marketing. It's just like as we are operating, marketing happens because it's built into everything the company does.
You have to take a step back. You have to take a step back and you have to look at how you get clients. And
Okay.
so how are you getting clients? Do more of that. How are you not getting clients? Stop doing that, right? But you have to take a step back and go, how am I communicating with people? Because that's what we're doing, is we're communicating with people. It's how do they want to be communicated to? How often do they want to be communicated to? And in what manner, right? Do they like text message? Do they like emails? Do they like phone calls, right? One thing that I talk about with all of my teammates and all of our clients is, what's the best way to communicate with you? Because we all have our preferences. So where are your customers? If you're a B2B customer, if you're a B2B company, your customers, where are they hanging out? Find that and go there. If you're a B2C customer or B2C company, what other companies have your same customers and partner with them? One of the things that I did was I had clothing stores.
Okay.
And there were multiple businesses that were around the clothing store. So there was hairdressers, there were spas, there was like a jewelry place. There were a few different places that my clientele went to. So I went to them and I said, hey, look, I'm going to create a whole campaign for your customers, but I want to offer your customers a discount to my store.
Mm.
So I'll do everything for you. I'll create it all for you. You just send it out. And here's the kicker. If you don't know how to send it out, I'll send it out for you. But this is a deal that I'll give just to your customers. And so, of course, the business owner is like, awesome. This is something that's exclusive for my customers. And I go, awesome. I get my name in front of all of these other people's customers. It's another way to do it.
Mm.
But then once that happens, what are you going to do with those people once they visit?
Yeah. Hey, quick break. Before we continue, I'd love for you to join the Wisdom Journey newsletter. Every week, I share exclusive insights, tools, and behind-the-scenes updates to help you stay ahead in your own journey of building an online business. It's simple, practical, and built to help you grow. Sign up today for free at the link in the description. Now, let's get back to the episode.
How do you capture them? Because you spent all this time and this energy trying to capture them. And now they've come to your website. They've gone through your doors. They've looked at your video. How do you keep them now in order to be able to sell to them again?
This is lovely because with most marketing advice is about how do you get more? How do you get more? How do you get more? Nobody really talks about the ones we have. How do we keep what we already have? Right? Even if you have 50 clients, how do you get those 50 clients to keep buying from you, month after month, depending on the kind of product you offer, or year after year, and you're like, oh wow. And then possibly tell one or two of their friends, and that 50 leads to 100 or 150. Instead of like, oh, how do I get more? And the system is a bit leaky because comes, they get the first sale, and that's it. So what do we get in the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one?
It's easier to sell to your current customers. It's way less expensive to sell and to market to your current customers. So start there.
I do have a question, and this question is something that's relatable for people that have the building personal brand, right? And my question is there a danger in creators becoming content businesses instead of actual businesses? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'll tell you a story about the clothing stores. So when I started the clothing stores, I didn't know this lesson. And I loved hanging out with all of the people that would come into the clothing store. And so I would build relationships with those people. Not saying that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
But then I opened up a second location. I couldn't be in two places at once. So what happened was customers would come into the first location and they would ask for me.
Yeah.
If I wasn't there, they'd turn around and they'd leave.
Yeah.
Because I built an experience to where they were buying from me and not buying from the store. While that's not always a bad thing, what that does is it can become a bad thing because you are the brand. And if you stop or if you expand and you can't be in two places at once, your clientele suffers. So being a personal brand, you're selling yourself for something in return. Sales in return, likes in return, whatever.
Yeah.
If you stop, those stop.
I mean, is it possible to build the brand and then build a brand such that how do I explain this now? You know how Nike, for example, they sponsor these huge athletes. And is it possible to have your own business? Let's say you're the owner of Nike and you grow your own personal brand. And so even though you're not sponsoring or endorsing in a sense, you endorse the brand. It's your brand, it's your company. And so the goodwill of people knowing, liking, and trusting you flows into the company. And of course, the company will then, once they get the people into their ecosystem, of course, they'll get to prove themselves and people keep buying. My question is, how do I frame this now? Is that bad?
I don't think it's bad. It just depends on what you want. So what is your end goal? So my end goal, sure. But the best way to make money is to have a repeatable process that other people are doing that you don't have to do. That's the best way to make money. So if you are the cog in the wheel to make money, you are always going to be that person that has to perform in order to make money. Let's take an example. Let's take the Kardashians, just because everyone knows who the Kardashians are, whether you like them or you don't like them. The Kardashians, they built their brand about themselves, right? Yeah. So they have to be on TV or they have to be appearing in order to make money. But What each one of them have done is then created beauty brands. And I think Kylie Jenner is insanely wealthy because of her beauty brand. Now, she's the face of that beauty brand. However, she is not the reason that beauty brand continues. She is the face of it. But if she stops doing commercials for a year, that brand isn't going to go away. She put the fire under it to make it grow, but it's its own entity now. The goal to make money and to make ongoing money is to have a machine or an entity continue without you. Jessica Simpson did the same thing. She built a brand, right? That brand is in Kohl's. Lots of celebrities have done the same thing. So I can't remember her name. Cameron Diaz, isn't she the one that does Goop? She's done the same thing. So it's not just about her anymore. It's about the brand that she's created, and that brand becomes its own entity, its own machine, its own organism, if you like, with or without her.
Yeah, that's lovely. I want us to come back to marketing, all that. There are so many fancy metrics that people track when it comes to marketing. So the question is in two parts. What's a metric you see people tracking, talking about that really doesn't matter? And what's the boring metric it's not really fancy, but it's like the core that really, really matters?
Depends on what avenue of marketing you're going after. So,
Let's say
say you're
content.
going to a trade show. Okay, content.
Yeah.
So if you're posting content and your reach, your impressions, like, then okay. Right, over time, you can kind of see if your reach or your impressions are going up or going down, but the problem is your algorithm, right? So, like, you have no control over that.
Yeah.
So, it's how many likes, how many calls to action are being done. It's not just how many people are seeing it, because you have no control over that. It's how many calls to action. A call to action could be a click. A call to action could be filling out a form. A call to action could be engaging with your post in some way. But the rest of them don't really matter because you have no control over them anyways, unless you're doing ads.
Yeah. You were about giving an example of the trade show. I just love for you to continue that example so that
Yeah.
that's a
So
big
say you're
balance.
business to business and you're going to a trade show. You have no control over who all's going to be at that trade show or how many people are going to be at that trade show.
Yeah.
So for you to say, hey, it was really successful because there was 1,000 people at this trade show. Okay. But out of those 1,000 people, how many of them filled out a form? How many conversations did you have? How many people came up and here's another thing. You had 1,000 people and you have swag or you have chocolate or whatever it is that you're giving out. You can say, oh my gosh, 500 of those people came and got chocolate from me. They might have just liked chocolate. It has nothing to do with you. But the people that have actually done something, call to action, had a conversation, filled out a form, started to become part of your email campaign, bought something from you. How many of those people, that's what you measure. Not how many people came or how many people picked up a piece of chocolate. Just like content. Not how many people saw it or what the reach was. It's how many people actually engaged with you.
So one is like the vanity metrics where, it makes us feel like we're popular, and the other is actually business metrics. It's like things are actually working. Hey, a lot of small businesses, they often feel they must compete with the giant brands, especially if you're in a sphere where like there's a big trusted brand out there. My question is, what's the unfair advantage that being a small business has, you're like, oh yeah, because you're a small business, you have this advantage. And these are the things you could do to win peculiar to small businesses.
Yeah. So, how many times have you called a large business because your product isn't working and you got an AI agent and you went
Yeah.
round and round in circles with that AI agent, and you were asking and you were desperate to actually get somebody on the phone that spoke your language. And then maybe finally you got through to the AI agent. One, maybe they hung up on you because they were like, oh, okay, well, we're done. And they weren't done. Or two, you get to somebody else and that person goes, hey, my name is Lindsay. What can I help you with? And you're like, you've got to be kidding me. I just went through 15 minutes on this stupid AI agent, and now you have no idea what it is that I need. I have to like talk about it all
Tell you
over again.
everything again? Tell you my life story
Right?
again?
How many times does that happen with big companies? Okay. So here's the difference. You have that company, or you have a mom and pop shop, right? And you call, and somebody answers the phone, and they're kind, and they care about what's going on. And at that point, no matter what, they want to make sure that it's right. And they not only want to make sure that it's right, but they go above and beyond to make sure that it's right. How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
It's a very different feel.
Yeah.
So one of them makes you angry, and the other one, even though it was a mistake, or something broke, or it was a mishap because of the business, they made it right, and they went above and beyond to make it right, which means that you'll most likely go back. And not only will you most likely go back, you're going to tell other people as well.
Yeah.
So one, you have grace, right? Consumers have a lot more grace for smaller companies than larger companies. You also have the ability to touch people's lives in ways that big companies can't do that. So depending on what your core values are, right? Touching people's lives might be something that is important to you. And big companies can't do that. I take that back. Big companies can do that, but it's fewer and far between.
And with what's happening in the world right now, where do you think online marketing is becoming noisier? And where do you think opportunities are quietly opening?
Going back to the old school. So it's so noisy online. It's really hard to break through online. So how do you do that? How do you get back to the person who's on the other side, as opposed to trying to go mass in technology? Because people are tired of that.
Okay. So if we were to go in person, what would that look like?
Say it one more time.
If we were to do going back to the person, leaving the online and going back to the person. Well, let's give an example of a company. Let's say, what was the company I gave earlier on?
Nike.
No, Nike's. I need to use a small, not a small business so that people can relate to. Because when I use Nike, then it's like, oh yeah, it's Nike. That doesn't apply to me. Okay. I think you did give an example earlier on, but more examples doesn't hurt. The clothing brand, I don't know if you still run the clothing brand. Okay, but you did give an example. But let's say it's this time and age, and you're building. I know you you focus on the marketing business now. What would you do? Okay, let's leave hypotheticals. What are you doing for the in-person stuff for this brand?
For the marketing, or for
The
if I
Eats
had a
crowd.
clothing store? For the
The
crowd.
Eats crowd, yeah, because the clothing store will be hypothetical because you're not doing that. You're not doing the clothing store, right? So, I mean, you could talk about the hypothetical, but I want hypothetical, and okay, this is it, so that we're like, oh, do what she does, not what she says.
Say for marketing, it's the same thing that I've done since 2014. It's going out and talking to people. And we have now built a business to where we are known in our market. And so because of that, and because of the marketing that we've done and the engine that we've built specifically for our business.
You're talking about the thing you've always done from the beginning. And I know you said the thing you've always done, but when you started the business, the brand, what was the thing? I mean, in person is different. Sometimes it's trade shows, sometimes it's events, sometimes it's being on podcast with me, talking to me and listening. Sometimes it's I don't know, just like it's so many. But I'm curious,
We did everything. Wisdom. We did everything.
What is
Quite
everything?
literally, we did everything. So I remember one time, so I had hired my very first person,
Okay.
and I was terrified to hire her because I didn't have any money, Wisdom.
Yeah.
But I had so much to do, and I didn't have any money. And I remember looking at her and going, leave your job, come work with me. It'll be fun. And then we were running out of money, Wisdom. And I had to be honest and I had to say, we have to go get another client. We have 1 month, we have 30 days to go find a client because if we don't, we're not going to make it. I mean, this was in the first 9 months of business. So we got out a calendar and we said, okay, how many networking events can you go to? How many meetings can you go to? She went and I went and we just filled our calendar. And we just put our feet in the pavement and just started walking and going to networking events and having conversations. And it was the greatest, it was awful, but it was the greatest experience all at the same time because our name got out there. We started meeting people. We had referrals that were starting to come in. We got a client, so the company, continued to go. From that, it was, one thing that I also realized is that if you talk to a lot of companies, they will give you advice, but they're not doing it at home too. And I never wanted to do that. It was, we're going to do the same things that we've done for our clients. We're going to do them for us too. And so we made sure that the It Crowd was a client. And so we do everything for us that we do for clients. Going on podcasts, doing networking events, going face-to-face with people, doing speaking events, doing ads, doing SEO, doing website design, making sure that we have content that's out there, doing email campaigns, doing cold calling, doing cold email. I mean, we do it all. That's our ecosystem. That's how we continue to move. And some of those cost money and some of them don't. But especially when you're first starting out, it's a grind. And anybody that tells you that it's not is wrong.
What would you suggest for a business that is in a peculiar position where, for example, a business in Australia and their clients is from the US, and they have a specific kind of offers it's for people in the US. So in that kind of situation, they're not at liberty to just fly to the US and be going for conferences. I mean, of course, maybe if it's a big business, but that's like crazy amount of money. But how do we go about doing the networking and all those things when they only can do it online, but they actually want to get in front of people? Does that make sense?
Well, there's lots of networking groups that are online now. So
Okay.
that's where I would start with that. I also would, I would do old school cold calling. I also would do old school, sending out packages. So pick out your top 100 or top 50 or top 25 clients. And how are you going to get in touch with them? So how do you get in front of them? How do you get those 25, 35, 40 touches to them? And how do you make sure you're doing it to the right person? So start small. Go, okay, I want to be in front of these 10 clients. I want to be in front of these 20 potential clients. Do your research of who you need to go after, who you need to talk to, and then create campaigns on different ways and different angles to get to those people. Once you have them engaged, to continue touching them. That's how I would do it.
Wow. Thank you so much. This
Yeah,
has been
thank you
a
for having me
masterclass.
on. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been wonderful. Thank you.
this has been a masterclass. We've talked about marketing, and it's a lot. And for people who are like, that's a very brilliant idea. She knows the stuff. Where can I hire her? I need someone to handle it for me. I'm like, no, marketing is not my thing. Let the genius do it, not me. How can they learn more about the work the Eat Crowd
Yeah,
marketing does and
yeah.
connect with you?
Definitely. So we have a website. It's theitcrowd.com. So THEIT crowd.com. You can also email me. It's Lindsey@theitcrowd.com. Or we're on any social media platform that pretty much is out there. And so send a message and someone will get a hold of you for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll put the link in the description so the listeners can click and go to the site. Thank you, Lindsay. This has been a
Great.
lovely conversation and inspiring one. I have a lot of things I'm gonna apply.
Good. Good. I'm glad.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for tuning into Wisdom Journey. I hope today's episode gave you practical steps and fresh ideas to keep moving forward. If you found value, be sure to subscribe and share this podcast with a fellow creator or entrepreneur who'd love to learn too. And don't forget to sign up for the newsletter and the link in the description for more resources, experiments, and lessons straight to your inbox. Until next time, keep building, keep learning, and keep walking your own wisdom journey. Yeah.